Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whatnauts Reactor Corps. This is number 23, and we will be talking about the final two episodes of WandaVision. The show just wrapped up. We can talk about it all. Full spoilers will be on this thing, so I'll go ahead and do our spoiler graphic, which just did not work. Wonderful. That's the thing. But hey, spoilers is happening right here,
yes,
right now. We are reacting to it. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson.
Yes. Hello.
And Ignacio Rojas.
Hey, how's it going?
There you go. It's going pretty good. So, WandaVision. Let's jump right in. I don't know about you guys. I stayed up till like 3 a.m. to watch the finale. Is that what you guys did, or did you wait till like after work or like first thing in the morning? What did you guys do?
Well, I stayed up until 5 a.m.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I just got up early. It's been a really nice Friday morning ritual every week. I thought about even like ordering a special breakfast or something like that to make it a very special morning.
What would be a breakfast?
Oh, I don't know. I thought about getting some klatchies, fun little finger foods. Yeah. I didn't end up doing it though, but maybe for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Maybe.
Coming pretty soon. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys did not know, we did our reactions to the first 7 of WandaVision. That is up on all of our feeds. You guys can find that on our website, thewhatnauts.com. And while I am here, let me do the rest of housekeeping. Hey, we have multiple podcasts here at The Whatnauts. You guys can find out more information on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Hi, everyone. A quick aside, or I guess side note thing that we forgot to mention in the Reactor Corps that we just recorded that you are listening to right now. Coming up this next week, we are also going to be recording an episode of the review show on The Vision by Tom King and Gabriel Hernandez Walta. So if you guys have been enjoying WandaVision or want some more Wanda and Vision related content, I highly recommend keeping your eyes peeled to the review show, which is one of our other podcasts, which you guys can find on our website, thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. Just type in the Whatnauts and it will pop up right there. If you guys are interested in that, it is one of my personal favorite comics of all time. I highly recommend it. I usually describe it to people as what if Breaking Bad, but The Vision. Things go wrong and they just keep going wrong, and they dig themselves deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole, and it is a great read. So be on the lookout for that. But now I don't know where I'm putting this in the other podcast. So either now back to your regularly scheduled show, or maybe this is the end of the show. Who knows? Bye. If you guys like what we do, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is where you can support us for as little as $1 a month. We do have a $3 tier with all kinds of exclusive content, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier. So thank you, Sam, for helping us out so much.
Thanks, Sam.
We love you and we appreciate you tons. We are also live on Twitch. We normally haven't done this particular show live on Twitch because we just are like, yo, we need to get these out fast right now. So yeah, we are here on Twitch with the Whatnauts Reactor Corps. If you guys want to support us here on Twitch, you guys can subscribe. A tier 1 subscription is about $4.99 a month. However, if you have Amazon Prime, you also have Twitch Prime. You just have to link your accounts, which is super simple, and you have a free subscription to give away to someone. We would love that to be us. However, you have to do that every single month. It won't automatically renew, so you have to be on top of that. But we'd love that to be us, because that's free money for us to do bigger and better shows.
Yeah.
Enough about all of that stuff, though.
Yeah.
It's not what we're here to talk about. Hi, Sam. Sam is in the chat right now.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with episode 8 from WandaVision. Melissa, let's start with you. What were your thoughts on episode 8 of WandaVision?
It gave me something I was asking for. I don't think this was in the recording, but I think we were chatting about it after we stopped the recording on our reactions to the first 7 episodes, the more sitcom-y chunk of the series. I said, I can imagine where the sitcom aesthetics came from, but I'd like to have that fully, clearly explained.
Right.
And that's what we got. We got to see Wanda growing up with various sitcoms, specifically sitcom DVD box sets. I'm so happy the show has honored the bygone era of the TV box set.
Exactly.
An important part of my culture. Yeah, it was a fascinating look back at her history and a great Agnes showcase.
Yeah, it was. Ignacio, what did you think?
I enjoyed it overall. I think that for the most part, one of the good things that the episode did was it did flashback, but in an interesting way. Like it wasn't just a flashback show or episode. It was in the episode, in context, which I thought was a very creative way. Also, I liked how it did explain several things. For example, why would Wanda, someone from this small European country, would be so obsessed with old American sitcoms, and also explaining her accent or how she knows that much English, which is because she was so obsessed with the sitcoms, and also would have her family have this night where they would all speak in English. And also, I thought that they were going to introduce the idea of mutants in the episode. I thought that that's where it was going, but then we'll later find it out in episode 9. It doesn't seem that it's going to be like that. The only 2 things that I didn't like were, I'm not a big fan of the idea of the Scarlet Witch being like a thing, like
interesting,
already established thing, and that the Scarlet Witch somehow came to her on a vision or whatever when the Mind Stone activated her powers. I thought it was a bit weird.
That's an interesting thing that you mentioned there, because there is this scene, right, where she touches the Mind Stone and then gets some kind of vision or something of what looks like the Scarlet Witch, but we can't see the face, right? So it we don't know who it is. I know theories were out there of like, oh, that might be her mom, or that might be the previous Scarlet Witch. I think it was just her. It was a vision of her future. Because
I think
in episode 9, when she does start to turn into her, and she is fighting Agatha, she turns into that, and you see that scene once again. It was like, oh, she saw herself.
Yeah, but you could argue that she didn't see herself. She saw the Scarlet Witch, and there she became the Scarlet Witch. I don't think necessarily she saw herself, but somehow, kind of like with for the comics with the Phoenix being how Jean Grey became the Phoenix, and she's not the Phoenix, but she became the Phoenix. And somehow, something like that.
I think this is a little different from the Phoenix, because the Phoenix was an existing force that kind of took over Jean Grey. I was under the impression that the Scarlet Witch was a theoretical concept. Like there had not been a Scarlet Witch before. The idea that there could be one was the legend, not any specific woman who's ever been the Scarlet Witch. The fact that Wanda's under the right conditions with these right set of powers, she's the person that could
That's
fulfill
interesting.
this prophecy that was written down in the Darkhold centuries ago. And I think somebody did take the footage of her like seeing the vision of the Scarlet Witch, and they like played around with the footage, and they're like, that looks like that is Elizabeth Olsen. So I think it was like a vision of what's to come.
Yeah. I'm actually really into the idea that being the Scarlet Witch is like a title, right? Of like, oh, you are the Scarlet Witch. I liked that a lot. I thought that was really, really cool. I think episode 8 of WandaVision is maybe one of my favorite like Marvel things that they've done. I loved it.
Nice.
I thought it was great. From like the moment when we're like, oh, we're in like 1692 here with Agatha, all the way up to the like, what is love or what is grief if not a love?
Yeah,
it's wonderful stuff, right? Yeah,
it's
what is something but something.
What's a meme if not something done to death, right? Like it. Yeah, it's wonderful stuff, and I don't think I was expecting to have that much depth and that much emotion in a single like 40-minute chunk of just like, my heart. Oh my god!
For sure, it was a solid episode. Although I do have to say that the opening with her being in Salem, being a witch, being tried by other witch, I don't know, there's something in that scene that for some reason I didn't like it. I don't know if it was the acting or something, but there's something in that scene that I didn't like. I think it was the acting for me was a bit weird.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Indeed.
But yeah, overall, cool.
Yeah, I think that one especially was my favorite one of the whole series. But what did you guys think about the actual finale? Melissa, we'll go back to you.
I liked it. I think the series left a lot on the table. Some in terms of things that I wish would have been clarified, or things that the story built up a lot of things that seemed like they were going to be more important than they actually were. And the fan base also built up a lot of things to seem like it was more important than it actually was.
Absolutely.
Because, this is our first new Marvel content in so long. We're in a period where we're dry for content in general. We need something to focus on. We need something to get excited about. So this is just a concentrated series of theories.
Yeah.
Like 90% of which didn't pay off. So it's an emotional adjustment there. But I think the finale was a success in that it did focus on and give a great conclusion to the story of its main protagonists. Like, even if there were a couple mysteries that seemed like they should have been answered and weren't, it was a very heartfelt, sincere, emotionally satisfying bow at the end of this Wanda and Vision story they've been telling.
Okay, that's fair. Ignacio, what did you think?
I think that overall the ending was good, not great. It has some great parts in it. For example, the ending. I was wondering how they were going to deal with Wanda having to say goodbye to her kids, and I think that it was done pretty well. I was a bit surprised that they did it. They actually did it. Her giving them up and giving up Vision, I was a bit surprised. And I think overall that moment in particular, her with the kids, or her and Vision with the kids, and then her with Vision, and all that was great, and all the philosophical questions between the Hex Vision and White Vision. I thought that was pretty cool. The whole analogy of the boat, I thought it was pretty great. Like,
that was really awesome. Yeah.
Neither is the real Vision, but at the same time, they are both the real Vision. I thought that was pretty cool. The only real problems that I had with the episode, I don't know. I don't think that there was one problem necessarily. I think that maybe it was me expecting there to be more for the finale. I think I
Yeah.
was expecting more things to be answered, and I was maybe I shouldn't have, but I was expecting a big cameo at the end. I was for sure
Yes.
hoping for Doctor Strange. I thought that Doctor Strange was a shoo-in for the end.
He was trolling
I
us
guess I
all
should have-
along.
I guess
Yeah.
I
Damn it,
should
Paul
have
Bettany.
been I should have been prepared for that, being a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how that never really connected to the Marvel movies, and now with this show, it feels like that all over again. And also, speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., shout out to the Darkhold making an appearance.
Shout out to the Darkhold.
We mentioned that in the one we did last time for our theories and stuff, because the Darkhold is not only in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's also in the Hulu original Runaways show,
which is supposed to be in the MCU as much as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be in the MCU.
I would say no, it's not. They don't mention anything.
Really?
There's
it's going off
more,
of a wiki, MCU wiki.
I mean, it's in there. There's more of a connection to Cloak and Dagger, if you remember that show. There's a connection there, and in Cloak and Dagger, they mention some of the stuff that is, they mention like, I know who Thor is and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's tangentially in there, but you can just wholly ignore it, and you're totally fine.
Also, I think that you could make the argument that it is the same Darkhold that the one from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because the last time we see the Darkhold is Ghost Rider taking it to Hell, and so you could argue that somehow Agatha got the Darkhold from Hell, and because it was in Hell, that's why it was so dark looking and almost looking burnt. And also the fact that the inside looked different, you could argue that that's because it always looks different depending on who's reading it. And so you could make the argument for it to be the same Dark.
True indeed. So my thoughts on the finale, initially, like when I first got done watching it, I think I was okay with it. I was like, it's good. I'm fairly satisfied. And I think, to be honest, like I didn't really have much to say in all my group texts and stuff like that of just like, oh man, did you see this thing, or did you do that? I just was like, okay, it's done. But the more I've sat with it, the more that I'm feeling very dissatisfied. And part of that is, us being like, oh, it could be this, and what if Magneto shows up, and oh my god, Mephisto, and like it's all of that stuff. But I think so for the show overall, I think if you look at Wanda's story and you focus on her, it's a phenomenal show. However, once you start to look outside of that, it's like, oh, they just didn't pay any attention to anything else, did they?
I think so many individual moments are very well crafted, but they lead you to expect another individual moment later, and then that's not there.
They really do, Or of just like, who was the missing person that was in the thing? Like, we don't know that. There's just a lot.
I have a theory about that one.
There's just a lot of like small things of just like
being like
what was the deal
actor
with Dottie talking about the blood? Like there's so many odd little things around also like Westview and Sword that they don't wreck the show for me, but I'm like, I'd like additional details on that, please. Like, I wish this finale was like 15 minutes longer.
You know what this feels like? This feels like Lost.
It does feel like Lost.
Because like I am a defender of that show, and Melissa, I know you are
Me too.
But it is absolutely like with Lost, I can at least say that there was this like redeeming factor of like, hey, if you actually look at the show through this lens, it's phenomenal. Whereas this, I think, is similar, but I don't know if I can quite say that. Like, hey, if you look at it through this lens, it's a phenomenal show. Like, it makes everything better. It's like, well, they had some great moments and some good stuff in there, but I think the show might just be lacking just enough that I can't say that it's like truly a phenomenal show.
I don't know. I personally disagree. I think that if you take the show for what it is, and of course having everything that came before, and not trying to necessarily connecting it to anything that's to come or that we want to see in the want to see connections.
Oh, sure, yeah.
If you take it for what it is, I do think that it is a great show. It is great at showing how Wanda, we know most of her story, we know all of her struggles. She experienced the death of the man that she loved twice. She then saw the body. She disappeared for 5 years, and once she came back, everything is different. She finds the body of the one that she loves, and it's torn to pieces. She can't even bury him. She
dissected, yeah.
Yeah, she was prepared to start a life with him, to go into this small town, separate from everything. She had planned a life, and her life has been one bad thing after another. And so I think that the show does a good thing. Shows how all this has had a toll on her psyche, on her mental wellness, and I think that it does some great stuff with it. If you take it like that, I think that it is a great show, and it shows that. But yeah, if we try to, when you start to connect it or want to connect it to other things like X-Men or what's to come, Captain Marvel 2, what's the future, I think that's when you start to it starts maybe falling apart. Like,
the thing for me is like you don't even need to connect it to stuff. There is the whole thing of like, who exactly is Quicksilver? Okay, the general that was there, who was kind of made out to be an antagonist and gets arrested at the end. Sure, I don't like him, and he needs to deal with his consequences, but he was still kind of the only one actually trying to save the people there. And like by the end of this thing, he's still an asshole, but if I was one of the town's people there, I'd be like, fuck you, Scarlet Witch. Like, I would, like, why are you arresting him? He was helping us. Like,
the
way
that they treat the people of Westview, it is pretty bad. Like, she walks past, like, they are on that square where everyone is after they are all free. She walks through them, and then to, what's her name?
Monica.
Sword Lady. Yeah, she was to her and apologizes to her. And then she makes a comment about the people of Westview, like, either something like, you don't owe them anything, or something like that. They don't know your struggle or whatever. It's like no one cares about the people of Westview.
Sure, I mean, yeah. In the conversation between Wanda and Monica, yes, I agree with Monica that, like, hey, if I was in a similar situation, I probably would have done the same thing, right? If I could bring back my loved one to do this thing. But yeah, there's no reconciliation between Wanda and the citizens. They hate her, and it's like she lets them go, but they don't really get far, right? They make it like a block, and like that's it.
When everything goes back to
there's just this, like, the show ends without dealing with any of the consequences, and then we get that post-credit scene where Wanda has the Darkhold and she's off by herself in some strange cabin, I'm assuming on Wundagore, but I don't know if that's exactly where she's at. she's out there looking for a way to bring her kids back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like her story by herself, like, makes sense. I like the conversations that are happening there, but once you just like look to the side, it's like, oh, they hate her. They don't. She's and she's still supposed to be an Avenger.
To find what she tells Wanda, like what Monica tells Wanda, because it's so weird. Like she kind of tells her like, oh, they don't know what happened to you. It's like you don't owe them anything. It's something like that, which I thought was pretty weird.
Yeah, it's strange.
I think we're not done with the citizens of Westview. For one thing, I'm grateful that Agnes is still out there. The punishment of Wanda turning her into this living sitcom archetype is kind of funny. But now you think about how the Westview is a city of normal people who have been through this trauma, but are otherwise normal people trying to live a normal life, trying to get back to that.
Neighbor's a witch.
But now there's like one lady. Yeah, but then there's one lady living there who's just like a living sitcom woman. They're like,
well, hey,
she's here
neighbor.
now too. We she's like this little sliver of hell that continues to stick with them. But I have a feeling we're going to get back there. Agnes is certainly going to come back. You know, perhaps somebody will seek her in Doctor Strange, and she might still be in Westview. And the citizens of Westview as a collective force may come back again. I mean, think about Civil War, where that mom approaches Tony like, my son was doing volunteer work in Sokovia and he died in what you did, thinking you were trying to save all of those people. Like, I feel like this is going to be a similar element, a similar thing hanging out there.
Also, weird fun fact, she also plays Black Mariah in the Luke Cage Netflix show. So she plays two different characters in the Marvel universe, which is strange, but there you go. Fun fact.
I want to talk about fake Pietro, aka Ralph Boner. I'm happy we got an explanation about Ralph, because that's a jokey enough thing that I feel like that's something they couldn't have answered for us and just chalked it up to Agnes living up to this sitcom archetype. Like, oh, of course, this woman I'm pretending to be would have this trashy husband at home. I don't really have one, but I'm going to pretend I have one.
I disagree. I think they easily could have made this the foot in the door to the whole multiverse thing.
They could have, yes.
And that would have made perfect sense. In fact, they were just like, well, this is a real conundrum. What are we going to do with this? Oh, no, make a dick joke. And just like...
Dear, this is what sticks out to me about that scene. The fact that he laughs at his own name like he's not heard it that many times before. Like, you're like 30 years old. I understand that the joke is that you're very immature, but the fact that Monica's like, your name's Boner, and he's like, Boner. It's like, that's not a joke. You're not doing that after living for 30 years with this being your name. And he's got something that looks like a headshot, and I've heard people referring to him as an actor, like he's just another Trevor Slattery character.
Yeah,
I kind of wonder, this is a wild theory, I don't think this is very likely, but what if that's the missing person that Jimmy's been looking for? That's the person in witness protection. Because what if he's still laughing at this name because he just got it 6 months ago, and this headshot Monica's holding up is like, look, Ralph, you need to understand that Ralph Boner is your name now. So here's a piece of paper with your picture and this name to lock it into your head. That face and name are the same. You're Ralph Boner.
Yeah, I
actually kind of like that.
About the fact that Jimmy Woo was there because they had someone in witness protection in the town. I forgot about that.
So also, is that witness protection because he did something or witnessed something, or is this
witness something?
Weird
I
thing?
mean, it's not called criminal protection.
I mean, yeah. But like, I mean, like, what if this actually is another version of Pietro and didn't? He's like, the Earth is like seems similar enough to my Earth, so I'm just gonna go to the FBI and be like, Scully, Scully, Mulder, anyone? I
don't
think I'm from another dimension, and they're just like, what the fuck? And you're Ralph
From
Boner
another
from now on,
dimension.
right?
I do like that he's just in multiverse protection program. It's like we can't have another Pietro Maximoff out there.
Well,
To be honest, they would do that shit.
Also, Loki will
That's fun.
kind of have something like that with these time bureau looking people.
Right? Yeah.
Also,
Mm.
I have the quote. Monica tells Wanda as she's walking through, all the people of Westview are staring angrily at Wanda, and Monica tells her, "They'll never know what you sacrificed for them."
Yeah.
Yes.
They won't. And they're not.
I don't know if it will make much of a
but-
difference.
Yeah, like it's a weird because that's the thing. Like she did. She gave up so much, but it wasn't.
Also, she had them trapped. Like you have that
it
moment.
wasn't really for them.
You had the
like,
moment
it was, but it
where
wasn't.
one of the lady that was in like episode 2 and we barely saw her after
Yeah.
that. She had that moment of clarity where she tells Wanda, "Hey, my daughter is the same age as your kids. Maybe she could be their friend. She could play that role. Like please, instead of her being locked up in her room." Like
Yeah,
this is some messed up shit, and it's
it
not
really is.
like resolved or dealt
Yeah,
with.
I mean,
it-
maybe this is where Doctor Strange comes in. Of like, hey, I'm this sorcerer supreme. There was some kind of magical event happening. Maybe even Baron Mordo is on his way there to be like, hey, what the hell happened here? There's some magic stuff, and then he finds Agatha and is like, oh, you're a witch. I'm gonna kill you or something, and or free you or team up or something. But just like he has to investigate and then help fix things. Of like, all right, let's get your houses together. Let's fix all of this stuff. I don't know. Like I just feel like I think you said you wanted 15 more minutes, Melissa. I feel like this could have gone for one more episode.
Yeah, I was surprised when I learned it was 9 episodes instead of like an 8 or a 10.
Yeah.
9's an odd number.
Yeah.
This show dealing with the mysteries is interesting because on one hand it is short and mildly self-contained. It's one thing if Lost, a show that went on for 6 seasons on network TV and went through a period where they didn't know how long they were going to be going. Like I know around like season 4 they had to negotiate like we have to set an end cap somewhere. So they're like, okay, 6 seasons and then we're done. And then we can stop throwing new mystery hooks out there and start answering the ones we have. One thing if a show like that doesn't get to answer all of those mystery hooks by the time it wraps up. This being shorter, it like bugs me a little bit. Like being as small as it was, it wasn't this large unwieldy thing getting renewed for different seasons, having a writer's room change and evolve over a period of time. But also, this isn't truly over. WandaVision, the series is over, but these elements exist in this larger cinematic universe. And we've been proven in things like Far From Home that incidents from Iron Man 1 can come back like, hey, somebody out there is still upset about that thing from that long ago. And here come the consequences. I believe that's something the MCU can do. We've seen that happen sometimes.
You're right. Yeah.
We're going to be seeing repercussions from this show beyond the things we're already thinking about, like Wanda becoming the true Scarlet Witch.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder how much the movies going on will assume that people watch this show. Like would the whole WandaVision storyline be resolved in one of the movies? Would it be even touched on any of the movies? Or are we just waiting for maybe season 2 of WandaVision for WandaVision to come up again?
I I think this will carry through the movies. The movies may come with a little bit of recapping. Yeah, I think they'll recap the shows within the narratives more than they recap the previous movies. But I don't think this is, purely here to continue on movies and not affect them as much.
Right. It's
the shows do seem like major players in affecting the movies to come.
Because we know that Doctor Strange will start with Wanda. It's something like that. Something they mentioned
Wanda will
when
be
it was announced
in that.
But with
movie.
it will start with Wanda coming to Doctor Strange's house. I'm pretty sure I read that when either WandaVision or Doctor Strange got announced that was gonna be the connection.
Yeah, we know she'll be in the movie. I don't know if we know to what capacity yet.
So we know that, of course, she would be now having experienced the events of WandaVision. She is now the Scarlet Witch, and she maybe is a bit evil, because that's the impression that I get with the post-credit scenes where she's reading the Darkhold, which, at least for example, with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that corrupted people. So maybe she's like evil now, and so there will have to be that connection to WandaVision. But I do wonder how much of a connection.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if Scarlet Witch is actually going to be somewhat of a protagonist, or at least an obstacle for Doctor Strange in the next movie. Because if you know anything about the kids, they are like, I think when she originally has them in like the West Coast Avengers comics, she basically makes them by I think stealing parts of Mephisto's soul or something like that. I'm a little bit fuzzy on that.
No, she doesn't steal them. They are made out of the soul. And I think Mephisto and Agatha and whoever Master Pandemonium is, they all conspire to pull this trick on Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like it's something along those lines. So I'm wondering if she's looking for a way to do that, of like, how, like, can I steal a soul, or do they exist in another multiverse? Because she went full on Doctor Strange there with like the 6 arms, doing all of the stuff, and yeah, she did have kind of maybe a more, maybe not necessarily evil, but like self-centered vibe.
I think that she will be corrupted by the Darkhold.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense indeed.
Yeah, much how Doctor Strange's research, all his training made him a better person, a more selfless person.
Right.
Perhaps the opposite could happen with Wanda as she becomes a more powerful sorcerer. She becomes darker.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope she learns to control it, or at least control it enough where she is not the bad guy. Because I don't think anyone wants that from her.
This show left me with a positive outlook. It made me feel hopeful about Wanda and Vision. Like, I love what he says is like about how he's been through so many different forms in his life already. He's like, I could easily take another form. We've said hello to each other again.
An AI,
we could do it again another time.
Memory.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought
that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
I thought White Vision was going to be Ultron again for a second there, right? Because like Ultron with the like Mind Stone and all that stuff ended up being Vision. So when you take the like soul out of that, it's just like, well, he's just a robot AI synthezoid thing that it looks like he's about to destroy some shit. Like that is Ultron.
Well, they go into it in Infinity War, because we know that they had that scene where they had to destroy the Mind Stone, and the Vision was wondering if that's what made him. But then you have that scene of Tony and Banner talking about how he's not only the stone, but there is a bit of everyone else in there, and also there's a bit of his own experiences that to the point that the Mind Stone, taking away the Mind Stone, doesn't really affect it that much. And I think that then is now seen with White Vision. How they had that scene between White Vision and Hex Vision, where Hex Vision is like, I'm a certain part of Vision, while you are the circuitry and the memories that are in there,
Yeah,
which I thought was pretty cool. I'm guessing that when we see him again, we'll see him struggling as to he is the Vision that Wanda knew, but also he isn't the Vision that Wanda knew.
for sure.
At the same time, like he's still trying to find himself in a way.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm faithful that they'll be able to find their way back to each other. And even if Wanda is in an antagonistic role in Multiverse of Madness, I don't think she's going to be defeated. I don't think, the villain is her final role. Yeah, I think she's going to come back to being a sweet, heroic, loving person.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, she just wants to be with her family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, if she can figure out a way to do that doesn't hurt people, she'll be good. She'll be fine. Doctor Strange can help her out and do all sorts of good things. I want to shift the conversation to Spider-Man, because we were also told that this show would influence the events of Spider-Man 3 No Way Home.
Do we know that, or did we suspect that? Because it isn't official that Spider-Man is going to deal with the multiverse. I think that all came from the rumor casting.
We don't know about Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, but we do know Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx are reprising their roles in there. So probably something multiverse related. My initial thought was that he all these multiverses would be invading the MCU. Then a couple weeks ago, my thought changed to, what if Peter Parker is trapped in all of these multiverses and he's trying to get home, hence the name No Way Home. But I was expecting the end of this show to kind of open the door a little bit more to the multiverse. And I think it's arguably that just like this, it maybe did, but I don't think it really did. I think this is like that end credit scene is maybe Wanda starting to look at the multiverse of just like, what are some ways I can get what I want? But I don't think this really, got the foot in the door to be like, oh, here we go. Here's the multiverse, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
It for sure felt like the show was setting up, like somehow opening up the multiverse. Like you had the line where they were talking about how everyone in Westview was someone that, or even everything came from somewhere. Like there's no new matter being created. Everything is being transformed except for the twins. Like where did they come from?
Yeah.
And also the line, I think in episode 4, where scientist girl, two broke girls, was
Darcy.
Yeah.
Darcy, she mentioned how she was getting background radiation, like the type of background radiations that we see in real life from the Big Bang, from the start of the universe. She was getting that same background radiation from Westview, and so I thought that maybe that was her, or some background radiation coming from some other dimension. So I thought that was going to be, all of that combined was kind of hinting towards she will somehow create a tear in the multiverse where you'll start to see all of these people coming up, but that didn't happen.
Oh. I don't know.
Yeah, this show seemed like it had the potential to set up a lot of things. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't do a little bit more with either the multiverse or mutants or Mephisto and a little bit more of the dark magic. But in the end, I'm happy it did kind of keep its focus small to just the immediate, Wanda and her family, and then Monica over with Sword. And I think as many answers as are left floating out there unknown, my heart is satisfied. That's all I can really ask for.
There you go. Good stuff indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming up at the top of the hour. in which we are recording this. So we are going to start wrapping things up on this because immediately after we are recording this, we are also going to be recording the captain's log for this week. So yeah, final thoughts on WandaVision. Do you have anything else you guys want to say or get
I do
out
have
there?
one final thing.
Go for it.
It seems like Jimmy Woo may head up the earthly portion of SWORD if Monica's gonna go out to space.
Hopefully.
And if Tyler Hayward is out.
Yep.
You know, there's a scene where Monica looks at him and she's like, leadership looks good on you, Jimmy. I want Jimmy to be in charge of SWORD.
That'll
keep
be a
popping
good
up.
thing.
I love when this last episode where he was in handcuffs and he got free of the handcuffs, and what did he say? Like a bit of flair or something?
I think he said flourish. He was like
A
flourish.
little flourish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was
But
good.
I want him to pop up more.
I really liked how the like end scene of the show, not the like end credit stuff, but the end scene where Monica is like, hey, they want you in the theater. And then it's just her and the cop. For a moment, I thought Wanda was gonna give her like one last parting gift of like, oh, there's gonna be like a fake movie playing and she can see her mom or something, which would have been neat. But we then got to see that the cop that was there was a Skrull, which we know they are building towards Secret Invasion. Yeah, and they were like, "Hey, he wants you," and she's like, "Up, like he's up there." And we know who that is. We know that's Nick Fury, and that just fits him perfectly to be in space chilling with a bunch of aliens.
Yeah.
Like that's Nick Fury to a T. It's great.
I was a bit disappointed with that scene in particular because it did seem like the cop tells her, hey, someone wants to talk to you, and she goes into this
Doctor
theater,
Strange
this
or
dark
something,
theater.
right? Yeah.
It feels like there's someone important that doesn't want to be seen. And who is it? And it turns out the cop is just some random Skrull. I was like expecting either Captain Marvel or at least Talos.
Right?
Is this a famous Skrull?
But not a random Skrull.
Yeah. So there you go. WandaVision, good stuff. Maybe not everything it could have been, but it was fine. It was good.
We have yet to see all of its ripple effects.
Sure.
We may look back in several years and reconsider WandaVision.
Indeed.
A good start overall for the new era of Marvel TV shows. I think that we should take this and maybe temper our expectations for the future as to how much connection we'll have with the other stuff. But overall, I think it was a pretty good show.
Indeed. There you go. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities.
There you go. Ignacio, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojasb. That's IGNACIOROJASB. You can also catch me on Crossplay.
Go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. If you guys want to stay up to date with our shows, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter as well. So go like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Stay tuned, because in the coming weeks, we will be doing reactions for every single episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So we will be...
Which we wished we would have done for WandaVision.
We just completely blanked that we have this entire show that is named the Reactor Corps.
I wasn't thinking about doing anything until the entire season was done, because we've never done an individual TV episode before.
Right, but now we know. Now we know. So
we got the formula.
Yeah, that's what we will be doing with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I'm sure with Loki down the road, we will
Yeah.
be doing that stuff as well. So be on the lookout for that in the coming weeks. So with that being said, thank you for joining us here on the Reactor Corps. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.